These hard money lenders will let you borrow three, four, five, $700,000 to get your project going. It sounds crazy to believe that Hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. This week, we're going to be talking about investment money. What types of money is available for you to use when you're doing an investment? I made a great video a couple days ago or a week ago talking about investments in triplexes and quadplexes. But let's talk about investing in a flip or investing in a buy and hold property. Now, traditionally, the way that anybody anticipates buying a house is with a 30-year mortgage, which is going to be the best option if you're going to buy and hold something. That is the best option. But if you're going to be buying a property with the intention of turning around and making a profit off of it or flipping the property, hard money is always going to be the best option. And I'll explain why. So when you're doing a 30-year mortgage, there's a lot of red tape that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into getting a mortgage. You know, you have to qualify and it takes a process and the appraisal. And most of the time, if you're buying a house with the intention of flipping it, that house is going to be in a distressed condition. It's not going to be something that's move-in ready that will pass typical financing appraisals. So the only option that you have is cash, which is obviously that's the best way if you have the cash, or hard money lending. And hard money lending is probably the easiest way to be able to obtain the funds that you need to be able to buy a property. There is no red tape. It's pretty straightforward. As long as you have your 20% down and there is enough money left in that property, the after repair value is there. These hard money lenders will let you borrow $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 to get your project going. It sounds crazy to believe that it's that easy to access this kind of money, but it is very easy. As a hard money lender, they want to use their money to make them more money. And they do that by giving you a short-term loan. For the most part, hard money lenders are going to require a minimum of 2 months of an interest-only payment, and it's going to be high interest. It's going to be anywhere between 10 to 12%, and you're going to be paying only interest on that loan until you can turn around and sell that property. That is the cost of not having the cash to be able to purchase the properties. You're going to have some financing fees, which is important. You want to make sure that when you're buying a property to flip it, you're building this into your estimates, right? So when you're buying a property, you need to make sure that when you have all your costs, the repairs, your financing fees, your real estate fees, after all that is said and done, there's still going to be enough money for you left over for this to be a profitable purchase. So that's why it's important that you make sure that you get a property that has enough money left in there. This is, if you have grandparents that have houses that are distressed, or, aunts and uncles, brothers, sisters, somebody that has a property that would not be able to go on the traditional market unless it had a lot of money put into it. This is a great opportunity for you to come in and say, hey, I can invest, I can purchase this house, and I can turn around and make some money off of it. It's a win-win for everybody that's involved. Now, at the end of the day, this is something that has to be a mutual agreement, obviously, between yourself and the person that's selling it. If the person can sell the house on the market, then, obviously that's their choice. But if it's something that the roof is falling apart, there's plumbing issues, there's AC issues, it's just not a good house, and it's going to require a lot of money that these sellers don't have, then this is your opportunity to offer this type of a solution. And just know that as long as you have your down payment, as long as you have the funds necessary to be able to close on this transaction, the rest is going to be pretty smooth. I mean, you just got to make sure that you have all your ducks lined up. One of the key things, or one of the big questions that I get asked is, well, I have my down payment, but I don't have the funds available to turn around and do the repairs. Let's say that the repairs are 60 grand. Where am I going to get that money from? The cool thing is, these hard money lenders do offer these type of products where you can purchase a house, and let's say it's a $300,000 house and you're putting 20% down, 60 grand. You can use that money to turn around and do the repairs. That is an option that's typically offered. Now, the lender, in order for this to make sense, there has to be enough equity in the house. There has to be enough in there so that they can offer this. At the end of the day, they're not out there to foreclose on the property, but they want to make sure that they're protected. So let's say you get a project started and it's just going nowhere. You can't close on it. They need to be able to put some money in themselves, turn around, put it on the market, and sell it to recoup their money and obviously make a profit at that point. But their sole intention is to have their money work for them and make them more money by providing these interest only loans. And that's one key part too that you have to consider. When you get a hard money loan, you're not going to carry that for longer than 6 months. I mean, you should have an end point where you need to have that unloaded either as a flip or refinance as a typical 30-year mortgage, because these loans are high interest. You're going to be paying a high monthly payment, and all you're doing is basically paying for the money that you've borrowed. And that's key. If you're in a buy and hold situation, this is a very common way that investors that are wanting to start purchasing properties and holding on to them, this is a very common way that they do this. They get properties that are in distressed conditions. They buy them with a hard money loan. They flip it, or they rehab the property. Then they get a traditional 30-year mortgage. They do a cash out refinance. They get their money back, or as much money as they can back, and then they turn around, put a tenant in there. Now you have a tenant that's paying that house off, and then you have that money that you turn around and you reinvest and you do it again. Now, obviously, in a perfect world, if you have all the money and it's cash and you can do this without using a hard money lender, that's great. But for the most part, most clients are starting off with just that 20% down because they either sold the property or they're doing a cash out refinance. So hopefully this video gives you some ideas and gives you some information that'll help you take that leap if an opportunity presents itself. If it makes sense for you and if it makes sense for the seller for you to purchase that home as an investment, there are options out there for you, and it's a lot easier than most would think to be able to get these types of loans to get you on your feet. And of course, I'm here to help you either purchase the property or, of course, turn around and sell that property when it's time to put it on the market. But if you have the property and if it's something that you've been thinking about doing, if you have a friend or family member that's brought this up to you, reach out to me. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at what your potential, market value is going to be for that home after you put some money into it. And if it makes sense, then don't sleep on it, because those deals, they go quick. Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.